Hello everyone, good afternoon, welcome to my bed. Come on in, get comfy. I can't believe it's only Wednesday. My goodness me. Anyway, welcome to the most recent in our Changemaker interviews. Today I'm joined by Helen Buzdugan. That's the correct pronunciation, isn't it? Buzdugan.
It is. Yeah, we've both got those surnames, haven't we?
We have, that everyone just makes it up, like just as a guess instead of asking. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Heidi Mavir. I'm the founder of EOTAS Matters. We work supporting parents and carers of children and young people who have barriers to attendance. And I work networking in the SEND space, the mental health space, the advocacy space. And Helen and I crossed paths a while ago, and the work that Helen does feeds beautifully into my work, because a lot of the parents that I support are either looking for or need to change their careers because of their caring responsibilities for their children and young people. And also Helen has some personal experience of that too. So I thought we'd have a little chat today about the work that you do, what's going on. Do you want to just begin by giving us a bit of what brought you here, like a little bit of introduction, a little bit of your background? I think that's a good place to start. And while you're doing that, I'm going to share. Sure. So if I look distracted, that's why.
Yeah. So I'm Helen Buzdugan. I have been a careers advisor for a really long time. So I've worked in schools, most recently in the last few years, mainstream schools, but also alternative provisions as a careers advisor. So every student is entitled to see a professional qualified careers advisor before they leave school. So I've had that experience. Prior to that, I was working in higher education as well, and did that for about 15 years. So then, I think during the first COVID lockdown, I hit a bit of a crisis point, really. So right. I was in my career as a careers advisor, careers consultant at the University of Manchester. And then suddenly was thrown into lockdown and trying to homeschool my two children. Things were coming out with my youngest clearly with neurodivergent. It was becoming a lot more obvious. I was hitting perimenopause. I had undiagnosed ADHD. I had a lot going on. And it was a perfect storm, really. So I had a lot of anxiety and ended up taking voluntary redundancy without really anything to go to, which is not really the kind of thing a careers advisor is supposed to do. But it gave me a lot of thinking time. And as I did that, and I kind of began to find my way, we kind of went on that journey of discovering our various neurodivergences, you know, my children having SEND needs as well and struggling a lot more in school, particularly the youngest. And I really knew that I needed to find some kind of flexible work, that just going back into that kind of, 9-to-5 role wasn't going to work for me anymore. So I experimented with different options, with different jobs, with freelancing, with contract work in schools, and did that for a long time. And in the meantime, I've had lots of conversations with other parents saying, oh yeah, that's me too, I'm going through this. And especially getting to know more and more parents of other SEND children, and joining Facebook groups as well. And as Heidi said, lots of people are saying, I don't know what to do work-wise. So either I'm hanging on to my job, my career job, by my fingernails. My line manager is losing patience. I feel like I'm way overstretched, and I'm not doing anything well. So I feel guilty, keeping me up at night. I'm worried about losing my job, but I still need an income. Yeah. I don't know what to do, and I don't know where to look for that flexible work. So I think the penny dropped at some point that I could actually help these people, because I've been on this journey myself, but also had that professional background as a qualified, experienced careers advisor. So I decided that this was going to be my focus. I had helped in my freelancing work. I'd helped parents and carers before, but I'd not formalized that as being my main focus. So that's what I did this year. And I founded True to You Careers, because I believe that it's really, really important to find a job that kind of matches your personal values. So I think one of the things that I wanted to say about myself is that I'm not one of these kind of work first, productivity, status, progression. and I probably shouldn't say this, but, you know, white man corporate in suits kind of careers advisors, because I've got that background as a mum of, you know, SEND neurodivergent children, having ADHD myself, having kind of fallen out of that career rat race, if you like, and looking for another way and thinking about what kind of options will fit, you know, my personal values, you know. So I talk about family first work that's not going to compromise your health and well-being, you know, your integrity, your family's well-being, and looking at it in more of a holistic way. So that was me, ADHD, talking so much.
No, but it's really important that you find your route through that. I speak to lots of parents and carers who, you know, either they've had that epiphany moment when they've realized that the way they're working isn't working for them and their family, or they've had that choice taken from them, either because they've been made redundant, or they've had to take voluntary redundancy, or they've had to leave work because of their caring responsibilities, and they're sort of like, the career they've had or the work they've been doing, that whole field is off the table for them because the type of environment that it was. And then they're sort of like, and a lot of them have got really incredible transferable skills.
Oh yeah.
Particularly parents and carers have been through the EHCP process. I mean, like, if you've got an EHCP,
yes,
a good EHCP, my God, you have skills that many other people do not have. You know, your people skills, your negotiation skills, your organization skills, your editing skills, your all of that. But it's knowing where to start, right? It's it's also not getting pulled into that, like having to write like what I refer to as a bullshit CV, which, you know, like, which is like with all the buzzwords, and because you want to get a job that's going to work for you, right? You want a career that's going to fit around you.
Oh, so true. Yeah, I always talk about this actually, about how, you know, interviews and that kind of whole process is very much a two-way process, and giving people the confidence to say, I need to discover through this process if this employer is going to be the right fit for me. And yeah, you're absolutely right that people get to this point and, you know, they realize sometimes that career job isn't going to work, and also kind of working through that, there's often a sense of loss there as well in terms of personal identity. So I work with, I suppose, two main sets of parents and carers. One are the ones that are still hanging on, you know, to that job, and trying to figure out, you know, is there a way to make that current job more flexible, or is it about a complete change? And then I work with others. I'm working with a client at the moment, has been out of the job market for quite a while, because that already happens, you know, that, okay, my child is not doing well in school, they're really struggling, I need to prioritize that, this is time to focus on my family now and getting that, you know, going through that EHCP and everything else, or maybe, you know, trying to get EOTAS or home education or whatever it is, a solution. Sort that first, then come back to the work thing. So I sometimes work with clients who've like picked that up again. And again, they often have lost confidence as well and feel like, I'm not employable anymore. I don't know what to do. So we work a lot around that as well. That sort of, you know, the kind of mental health and emotional side.
Yeah, it's especially challenging if you have been like out of work for a while, because I know for me, when I had like proper jobs, inverted commas, back when I was employable, you know, like, and manageable, neither of which I am now. And I'm not ashamed of it. But you know, like I had a really successful career in arts marketing that then like kind of like evolved into a career in the charitable sector, which is very competitive, and you know, all of that stuff. And I was trying to get back in after having had a break to have my child. And it took me 3 years to get a job. And I was very qualified and I was very experienced. But because I hadn't been working, that was a real barrier to me being able to get employment. And I would have been so grateful to have someone kind of like coach me through that, because I know that I made pretty major errors during that process that probably set me back, you know, in terms of how I was applying, what I was applying for, you know, even just things like what I was bringing to interview, and you're not really knowing how to speak about that 3 years that I'd not been in work, you know, I'd learned a lot during that period, and I had a lot to bring to the table because of those experiences. But I was talking about the job I'd done 3 years ago, you know, and things have moved on a lot in that field. So I know that can be a real thing as well if you've had a period of time when you've not been in paid employment, you know, for want of a better.
It really can. Actually, when, you know, a few months ago, I created a guide really for those people who've had that gap. And it's called the Post Career Break CV Guide, which people can still access via my Facebook page or via LinkedIn. And that really talks about that, saying, actually, we undersell ourselves so much, don't we? It's like you said, you know, people that have gone through that process, applying for EHCPs, supporting their kids at home, all the transferable skills, the research, the advocacy, the communication skills, the, you know, the written communication, the verbal communication, the analytical skills, you know, persuading and negotiating, the patience as well that you need with everything. I mean, I could go on and on, but I think often we don't know how to articulate that. And B, we maybe lack the confidence that employers would appreciate that. And I was looking at the research on this as well, and I do know a lot of employers will value the experience that people have got during that break, but you do need to find the right employers. So that's something that I often end up talking about as well. There are more family-friendly and neuro-affirming employers and less, you know?
Yeah. So and also that thing, isn't it, about, I think when you're looking for work, my friend is just in the process of looking for a new job, and she's an amazing fundraiser in the charity sector, and she's going for interviews at the moment. And we had a conversation the other day about how when you go for an interview, it's important to remember that you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you, you know, because this is about whether you are the right fit for them. The fact you've got an interview is an indication that they know you can do the job. Now it's about whether you fit into their culture as an organization and whether they fit for you. And I know it can be really difficult when you're not getting anywhere, but I've had jobs that I didn't get that I thought I really wanted at the time. And then afterwards, when I've had the feedback on the interview and I know why I didn't get it. One job, I think I've shared this with you before. One job I didn't get, I took my shoes off.
You did.
I had to give a presentation. I was feeling very wobbly, just because I was nervous and I was wearing ridiculous heels. I mean, what was I thinking? But anyway, back in the days when I wore when I walked. But yeah, I was wearing these high heels, and they, you know, I got up to do the presentation. I took my shoes off. I said, I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to take my shoes off to ground myself. And in the feedback, when I didn't get, I got down to the last two. And in the feedback, one of the pieces of feedback was, we thought it was really unprofessional that you took your shoes off to give the presentation. And I was thinking, well, I'm clearly not the right fit for you then. You know, like,
And it's having the confidence to say for yourself, it's not, I'm rejected by that organization. It's reframing it, as you said. It's like, that's not the right fit. And you can say that equally. I mean, I turned down a job once because I was so unimpressed with the interview process, and it was so the opposite of neuroaffirming. It was chaotic, it was disorganized, and it created a really bad impression of the organization. I thought, I just don't want to work for you. So I often talk to people about having that confidence to know, it's not a good fit, even though the rejection is, you know, it doesn't feel nice, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, it's tricky to get your head around, and it can be soul destroying. But also, I think having someone to coach you through it, who's like your little cheerleader, giving you the whole, come on, we'll keep going, don't worry, that we are going to get there. That's vital when you're looking for work. You know, when I was out of work and looking for work for 3 years, you know, I was doing freelance work, but I wanted a permanent position. You know, I needed people around me to be like, keep going, you've got this. You know, that's absolutely what you need, right? So let's talk a little bit about the things that you have for people right now. So I know that you've got some freebies. I know that people can come and get some of your expertise. So can we talk a little bit about that? Because I know you've got I was just looking on your Facebook page, you've got a a free guide to finding flexible work in the UK. So what's that? How does that? It's a PDF, is it? Is it like a guide?
It's a PDF guide. It's quite detailed, and there's a kind of a mini series of emails that follow up from that add more to it, because there's really a lot there to unpack. So the guide itself has kind of quite a list of job sites that focus on flexible jobs, and sector specific job sites as well. It's got a breakdown of the different types of flexible working. So if you are currently in work and you want to think a little bit more creatively, or encourage your employers to think a bit more creatively, it's got that. It's also got a bit of a kind of how to look at your needs and non-negotiables, as I call them. So before you actually start looking for work and hit the job sites, I always say, start with yourself. Start with like, what hours can you do? Does it need to be fully remote, or you may be home educating, you need a fully remote job, or could it be hybrid? Thinking about the minimum salary you need, for example. So just a set of questions to consider, a bit of a checklist there as well. And then follow up from the freebie. It's things like self-employment versus employment, because that's definitely a consideration that a lot of people think about. It's about using kind of networks that you have as a parent as well, because often then you can find employers that may be more family friendly through those networks. There's a bunch of emails there with follow-ups with key points and how to ask your employer for flexible working arrangements. So definitely recommend that. And I do one-to-ones as well. So if you feel like you need more personalised help, just contact me on Facebook or LinkedIn, or a one-to-one. And in the new year, I'm hoping to run a group program as well, because I think people often feel like they want to be part of the supportive community, that people that are going through that process of trying to get that more flexible work. So that's something to look out for.
100%. I think it's so vital. Like, I think it's one of those things that it's a science, right? Like, getting a job is a thing that you either do or don't know how to do. And if you don't know how to do it, and the environment is changing a lot. It's interesting, actually. Jackson on Instagram was just saying he doesn't feel comfortable disclosing his neurodivergence because he thinks that people will see him differently. And it's knowing how to approach that, even with your applications. And I think that's a thing, isn't it? Like, you want accommodations to be made for you, but you don't want to do yourself out of something. And it's knowing how to frame that.
Yeah, that's always a difficult conversation, and it's such a personal thing, and it's personal to an individual, what they feel comfortable with. I talk to people about, what are the pros and cons of disclosing at different stages of the process. And then also, depending on the employer as well. So it's a
and also that is a good, like, for you to, before you begin, to work out what are your non-negotiables, what do you need to, because it's stressful trying to get a job, and I've just recently, my friend Tom McFadden did a session with me in our marble run about writing your access rider, and I've just recently added to the bottom of my email signature, these are my access needs. This is, so it says, I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user, I won't attend in person, I need things to be on Zoom. If you do need me to attend in person, it has to be step-free level access, and the meeting room needs to be on the ground floor, and I need things in writing, and I record all my calls and all my meetings, this kind of stuff that I now feel a bit more confident doing that. But originally, obviously, and I work in the disability space, so there's a different, I feel like if that's not okay with you, then I'm not going to work with you. But I do think for people who are out in the big bad world, there's a conversation about how and when you disclose and what you disclose.
And also for a lot of people, they don't even know necessarily what accommodations they could ask for. What is a reasonable adjustment? And employers don't know either. So it can be so tricky. So that is something that I do end up talking about quite a bit.
Really important. So your membership is going to be coming in the new year, but right now people can get your free stuff, which I love. And if people do want to have a one-to-one support call with you, they can contact you through LinkedIn or through Facebook. Get in there with Helen now, because I do know that she and I have had a conversation when I've said, you're too cheap, Helen. So get in now before she realizes how valuable her expertise is and puts all the prices up. But I have no problem recommending you. The conversations that we've had, I have got no difficulties at all sending people your way, because I know that you get it, and I know that you're going to be a real asset to people who want to come and find you. And you and I are going to do something as well, aren't we?
We've got a training session next week.
In my Facebook group
on the
5th of December. So for those of you who are in my EOTAS community, if you're not and you're finding me here, go to my website, HeidiMavir.com, or just, I don't know, follow me wherever you need to follow me. Find your way there, get in our free community, and Helen and I are going to do a training together next week, I think it is. Is it the 5th?
It is. It's on the 5th. On the 5th.
At least you know.
Yeah, I just wrote the details for it.
Amazing.
Night,
I've seen the email, but
really excited about it.
I mean, Christ, I'm in bed. What do you expect? So, so thank you for being with me today, Helen. I am
it's been a pleasure.
Really delighted to chat with you. And please, people, go and find Helen. Go and get her stuff. Go and get her free guide and her free email sequence. Or get it for someone else, because I know there'll be people watching this on replay, maybe, who are thinking, you know, my insert relationship with person would really benefit for this. So please do go and find Helen, and come and find your way to our Facebook group next week. And yeah, thanks for joining me, Helen. It's lovely to chat to you as always. And you'll see us both again next week. See you all later, everyone.
Bye.